it is Victoria, live again. I am the owner of CreativeHealingAndWellness.com and also the Facebook group Become Your Best Self and Transform Your Life. This is my day 4 of my 30-day video challenge. I hope you've gotten a lot from the last 3 videos. They've been kind of popping into my head. Today I'm going to take a little bit of a flip. I've been doing a lot of empowerment teachings in the last couple of videos, and also in my Facebook group. I do a lot of empowerment teachings, which is all great and wonderful. But truth be told, I am a spirituality and an enlightenment teacher. So I've had a couple things happen to me in the last couple days, and just conversations and whatever. And the whole idea of holding this space for somebody popped in. Now, I mentioned it in a conversation with one of my dear friends and colleagues, and we do that as teachers and as coaches. We are taught how to hold this space for people. And I mentioned yesterday about living with an open heart and allowing that space for compassion and for expansion. And that's really important. And I'm looking at myself here in the mirror. I apologize. I look like I'm a ghost because I have the sun shining off my skin. So I apologize for that. But I want to talk about how we can hold the space for somebody. Now, like I said yesterday, I had a conversation and the topic came up. And it was kind of a reminder to me that that's really our job as coaches, is to hold this space. But this morning, something happened and I actually had to hold the space. Not for someone, but for my cat. I had fallen asleep, and I go to sleep very late, or well, actually very early. Whatever you like. I go to bed around 5 o'clock in the morning. And I had been asleep for maybe an hour and a half, and all of a sudden, my mommy ears are peaked, and my boy, my Kiro, is in distress. I don't know what it was. I still don't know what it was. But I jumped out of bed and I laid there with him. And the thought that came into my head is just hold the space for him. Hold the space. I mean, he was in terror. For some reason, pupils dilated, kind of in a panicky state, but yet didn't move. He was like kind of that frozen fear that animals get. And so I was laying on the floor with him, and just the thought just going, through my head. Hold the space, hold the space, hold the space. And so my energy, my mommy energy calmed down, and I was able to then allow this I guess this is expansion of just light and space where he can be in. And it was only a quick little thing. I mean, maybe a couple minutes. And then I started doing my energy work on him because I work with animals. And so I was clearing and staying calm and keeping calm. And then all of a sudden he had a shift. And then he started purring. So it was over and done with in 5 minutes. And then he kind of got back up, and then he was going to water bowls and food bowls and whatever. And I guess whatever was there had moved itself on, and he was no longer terrified. And he was a little tired today. He's been sleeping for the last few hours, but he's fine, and he's purring and all that great stuff. So I held the space for him. And there's so many times in our lives where we need to hold the space for other people. How do we do that? Well, and what does it mean? Or like, really, what does it mean? So holding the space means that you're willing to walk alongside another person on whatever journey they are, without judging, without making them feel inadequate, without trying to fix them, without trying to impact the outcome. And when we hold space for other people, we open our hearts. So that's where that open heart, living with an open heart, and being able to have that space where expansion can happen. And we offer unconditional support. And we let go of judgment and control, which is really difficult for us as human beings because our brains automatically want to find solutions. And there are times where you just have to kind of just be in a non-judgmental way. And sometimes holding space for somebody means just holding a space for someone while they're holding a space for somebody else. So it's kind of like this, it connects us in many ways. So holding the space is not something that is exclusive to, people like myself, like coaches and stuff like that. It's something that everybody needs to learn, and it's a practice. So we can do it for our partners, our spouses, our husbands or wives, our family, children, friends, neighbors, even a stranger on a train. And it really helps us, and of course our pets, like I had to do this morning. It really helps us to walk through life with a compassionate heart. To be able to let go of our egos and let go of our fears and all that stuff that we talked about yesterday, and just to allow reality to be. And allowing the space for whoever is in that space to be able to grow, expand, get comfort, and all that stuff within that space. So there's like 8 tips that I found on an article that I have in front of me that I want to kind of give you a little bit of a thing. Now, the first, and I think one of the most essential steps of holding the space for somebody, is you need to trust people you need to give permission, I guess. Give permission to people to trust their own intuition and their own wisdom. Because we know what's best for us. I mean, we go to doctors, we go to coaches, we go to therapists, we do these things, and we're looking for guidance from other people, but ultimately we are the ones that have the ultimate wisdom. We know what works best for us. We can use tips and tricks from other people, but we know what's best for us and how we are going to expand in this world that we live in. So that's really important. The second step is, and this I have come into contact with a lot being a coach, is you give people only as much information as they can handle. So, thanks. So you don't want to sit there and, a lot of this enlightenment stuff that I teach and my colleagues teach, they're higher level stuff. And a lot of times people they can't grasp that. Or they don't see the world as you do, so something that worked for you may not work for them. So you kind of have to cater yourself to the person that's in front of you. You hold this space. You give the people the information that they can handle, that they can utilize. It's like filling a sieve, okay? Or I don't know if a sieve is a great thing, but what happens if you put too much stuff in a sieve? It's going to overflow the top, and it's not really going to get through. So actually, here's a good example. You take a parched desert, and then you give it 4 inches of rain in an hour. What's going to happen? Well, it's going to run off, and you're going to flash floods and everything, and none of that rain is going to get inside the soil. So you give what they can handle. Just enough that they can absorb and they can grow and they can expand, and then their soil can become fertile with the little drips and drabs that you're offering. So that's number 2. Number 3, don't take their power away. Now I'm going to read this part of this because this is a really great part. When we take the decision-making power out of people's hands, we leave them feeling useless and incompetent. There may be some times when we need to step in and make hard decisions for other people, like when they're dealing with like addictions or some type of intervention that needs to be done that will save their lives. But in almost every case, people need the autonomy to make their own choices. And that even goes to our children, our pets, we don't know what they need, they do. So that's really important. And number 4 is keeping the ego out of it. You might have the thing that can fix it, but you don't push it on people. You don't. This is a big one. So we all get caught in our traps. And when we begin to believe that someone else's success is dependent on our intervention, or when we think that their failure reflects poorly on us, or when we are convinced that whatever emotions they choose to unload on us are about us instead of them, that's a problem. And sometimes you can see that with parents, that I guess haven't had good examples of parenting themselves, where they get frustrated. You see it with people who are, taking care of like Alzheimer's patients and stuff like that. You can't treat them and talk to them like you would talk to yourself. You just can't. Your ego has to out. So that's really important. That's a really big one. Number 5 is make them feel safe enough to fail. Because you know what? Failure is a part of life. It is what helps us grow. I personally don't see failure. I just see it a lesson. That's what I call them. I call my failures lessons. But when people are learning and growing, they're bound to make mistakes. We all do it. And as their space holders, we have to withhold the judgment. And we offer them the opportunity to reach inside themselves, to find the courage to take the risks necessary, and to keep them going even when they fail. And that's part of the job as a coach, is we do that. We allow you the space to fail. And you say, you know what? It's okay. It's okay. Failure is a good thing. That means you tried, and now it's just, I'm trying to think of my teacher. She says, what does she say? Failure is a lesson activated or something like that. She's going to kill me for not remembering it. But basically, failure is, lesson applied. So that's really important. Number 6, give guidance and help with humility and thoughtfulness. A wise space holder knows when to withhold guidance. And that means when they might take it as an attack on them, if it's going to make them feel foolish, or if it's going to make them feel inadequate. Do you need to say it? No, you don't need to say it. You offer any advice gently and with kindness and with that compassionate, open heart that I was talking about. Recognizing the areas where those around us feel the most vulnerable and incapable of offering. Let me get this right. I'm trying to read my notes here. Okay, recognizing areas in which they feel most vulnerable and incapable, and offering the right kind of help without shaming them takes practice and humility. That's really important. That's really important. And the last 2 things, number 7 is create a container for complex emotions, fear, trauma, etc. So you need to, I guess the sun is in my face. I apologize. Let me have to move over a little bit. Whoop. I fell. That's a little better. So when people feel that they're held in a deeper way, so when we hold this space and we allow without judgment for that person to feel supported, sometimes those complex emotions are going to come up, and you need to allow that, because some people just need to express. People need to get their emotions out, and you need to support them in that. Let them know that they're being heard. Let them know that you love them, that you are compassionate, that you're there for them. Sometimes you can just do it in silence. Just let them cry. but be there with a comforting arm. Like I did with my cat this morning. I was just there with a comforting arm, and it calmed him down, and he moved through whatever he was going through, and now he can sleep calmly. So that's really important. So creating that container for complex emotions to happen, that's not easy, but the more you hold space for people, the easier it'll become. It does come with practice. Now, number 8, and last, is you allow them to make different decisions and have different experiences than you would. So holding the space is about respecting each person's differences and recognizing that those differences may lead to them making choices that we may not make. You know, you got cultures, you got different people who grow up in different societies and whatever. I mean, you don't want to push yourself on people. You just need to hold the space. So when we hold the space, we release control and we honor those differences. We respect the other person. And that's really important. And to finalize it, holding the space, and again, this is not something that can be mastered overnight or adequately addressed in this little video. It's a complex practice that evolves as we practice it. So the more you hold space for somebody and the more you walk through life with this open and compassionate heart, the easier it becomes, and it will eventually become second nature. You know, there's many people that walk, you can think of like Mother Teresa or Gandhi or some of these great spiritual leaders, and it seems so effortless to them. Guaranteed in the very beginning, it probably was not as effortless. But it's a complex practice, and then it evolves as you practice it. And it is unique to every person who both practices it and who receives it. So those are my thoughts. I hope that you got something out of them. It popped up a couple times in the last 24 hours, so I needed to talk about it. And this morning kind of solidified it, because that literally was when I was on the floor with my cat. That was the first thought into my head, is hold the space for him. I was told by my guides, hold the space for him. Just let him feel supported. And that's what I did. That's what I did. And then once he started to feel a little bit supported, that's when I started doing my energy work. And I was basically doing what we call in Healing Touch for Animals, vibrational grooming. And so I was just clearing away all of the negative, congestive energy, not negative, energy can't really be negative, but this congested energy that was around him. And, you know, once he made that shift, it was like, that's what he needed. That's what he needed. He needed that space. So that's it. That's my day 4 video. So I hope, I hope it wasn't too long. I know yesterday was a little too long. So enjoy it, take it, use what feels good to you, and I will come in with something tomorrow. I don't know what that'll be. It seems to be every day. It's I wake up with something new, and I'm just following my guides. So, I'm trusting it. So have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I will see you inside Facebook tomorrow. And oh, look, I love all the hearts. Thank you so much. You guys are amazing. You guys are amazing. So many blessings to you. Much love. Mwah. And I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.